Hello my motor enthusiasts. The Mexico Grand Prix brought us a thrilling weekend of Formula One racing with Max Verstappen securing his 16th win of the season. Sergio Perez, the home crowd favorite, crashed out early, raising questions about his future at Red Bull. Meanwhile, Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo put on sterling performances, demonstrating exceptional overtaking and controlled aggression respectively. Despite the unique challenges posed by Mexico City's high altitude, Mercedes found their stride after years of struggle. But the surprises didn't stop there, with Ferrari faltering, Yuki Tsunoda sabotaging his own race, and Aston Martin's fortunes continuing to dwindle. And let's not forget the newcomers getting their chance in the practice session, the new pit lane impeding issue, and Kevin Magnussen's heavy crash due to suspension failure. What an eventful race it was. Good day everyone. I'm your host, Enzo Watts, steering you through the fascinating world of Formula One.
And this is William, your co-pilot on this thrilling journey.
Remember, we're with you every day on F1 Motor Fever podcast. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. Full throttle, let's dive in. Now, let's delve deeper into the Mexico Grand Prix. As we already know, Max Verstappen's 16th win of the season was no surprise, but other intriguing details caught our attention. For instance, the speculated future of drivers in the Red Bull stable after Sergio Perez's first corner crash and Daniel Ricciardo's return to the points. And let's not forget the unique conditions of Mexico City, a safety car, and a driver's retribution for a qualifying mistake. With the final triple header of the year coming up in Brazil, things are getting heated, aren't they?
Absolutely. There's no denying the excitement and unpredictability that comes with Formula One. Even when there's dominance at the front, the storylines that unfold throughout the race are incredibly compelling.
Right you are. And speaking of compelling storylines, let's talk about Perez's attempt to disprove the racing adage. You can't win a race into turn 1, but you can certainly lose it. The home crowd favorite, buoyed by their support, went for a bold move into turn 1. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, Verstappen has seemed to defy this adage with his consistent wins, but the real wins come from what happens after turn 1. Perez was indeed daring, but his maneuver resulted in a crash that took him out of contention. It was a gamble that unfortunately didn't pay off this time.
Perez's risky move definitely wasn't calculated, considering the first corner happenings in previous races in Mexico. This has brought up serious questions about his future with Red Bull. But you know who's always surprising us? Lando Norris. From a 17th place start to finishing 5th, his maneuvers were simply amazing.
Indeed, it was a phenomenal performance by Norris. He's shown time and again how he can make his way up the grid.
Do you remember that move on Esteban Ocon through turns 1, 2, and 3? He was squeezed between the Alpine and Nico Hülkenberg's Haas, and yet, he managed to wriggle past the Alpine to get into the top 10. And apparently, he did it all with his eyes closed.
Wait, what?
No, I'm just pulling your leg. He was, of course, very much attentive and precise with his moves.
Blimey, you had me there. I must say, that would have been quite the extraordinary feat.
Let's shift gears and talk about Daniel Ricciardo. He put on quite a show in Mexico, didn't he? Despite a quiet performance in Austin, Ricciardo really turned things around, securing a 4th spot on the grid. What a surprise that was.
Absolutely, Ricciardo's aggressive, yet controlled driving was quite reminiscent of his Red Bull days. It was an impressive display, especially considering his defense against Lewis Hamilton early on.
McLaren boss Andrea Stella even hailed Norris's performance as one of his best, citing it as a standout day for any driver he's worked with. It seems the AlphaTauri was performing well in Mexico City's conditions, prompting Eddles to state that their car mechanically is very good.
Eddles certainly isn't wrong. The grip, despite being a struggle for everyone, seemed to be well managed by the AlphaTauri team. This mechanical edge definitely played into Ricciardo's hands.
Ricciardo's performance, however, did not go without its challenges. He dropped a spot to 6th after a red flag prompted a second start from the grid, and then another spot after an assault from Norris. Nonetheless, it hardly dampened what was an impressive drive. It just goes to show, every race has its share of triumphs and trials. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. The challenges are part and parcel of the sport, and how drivers navigate them is what really sets them apart. Ricciardo's performance was a testament to that.
Ricciardo's finish within a second of Russell earned a significant 6 points for AlphaTauri, thrusting them above Haas and Alfa Romeo. It's proving to be quite a close competition in the constructors' stakes, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. With only 12 points separating AlphaTauri and the 7th-placed Williams, it's getting quite heated. Further drives like Ricciardo's could make the gap even smaller.
Now let's switch our attention to Mercedes. They've been making some notable improvements. If we consider the unique conditions at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, like the 22% reduction in air density due to its 2,250 meters above sea level altitude, Mercedes' upgrades to their power unit and floor really came into play.
That's right. Their turbocharged cars seem to be thriving in the sparser fuel-air mixture conditions. Mercedes CEO Toto Wolff reckoned that the powertrain division has managed to lessen the gap they previously had in Mexico relative to the Red Bulls.
And that revised floor they introduced in Austin seems to be bringing in more downforce and drivability. It's quite an achievement for Mercedes high-performance powertrains, isn't it?
Indeed. They've tackled what was once their Achilles heel and turned it into a strength.
Yes, and now moving on to Ferrari. They managed a front-row lockout in the qualifying round, quite a surprise even to them. Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz were not initially considered as pole contenders. This just goes to show how unpredictable this sport can be. The Ferrari team gave us quite a surprise with a front-row lockout. Holding that lead was always going to be tricky, and as expected, the Red Bulls took advantage of the turn. Verstappen took the lead while Perez took an early exit. Leclerc's front wing didn't fare too well, but the pace was strong enough to forego a wing swap. A one-stop strategy was the call of the day, wouldn't you agree?
Definitely. Timing is everything, isn't it? The safety car's arrival just after they switched to hard tires left an opportunity begging. Unfortunately, they couldn't predict it. As we know, even the best F1 strategists aren't clairvoyants.
Indeed. Leclerc particularly struggled with his hard tires, which gave Lewis Hamilton a helping hand to pass. Sainz's defensive strategy against George Russell, however, secured a third and fourth finish for Ferrari. Team principal Frederic Vasseur called it a step forward. I have a mate who'd be absolutely chuffed to hear about this.
Vasseur's comments do hint at a sense of satisfaction despite the challenges. He mentioned a bad stint at the end, but overall, Ferrari seems to be making progress. They've been securing pole positions more frequently, which is a positive sign for the team.
Let's not forget Yuki Tsunoda's performance, who despite a back-of-the-grid start, showed the potential for a strong race. He was working his way up to help AlphaTauri bag double points but unfortunately clashed with Piastri. It's a pity, really.
There are ups and downs of racing. But, as we all know, it's all part of the game. Tsunoda's potential showed through, despite the setback. It's all about learning and improving, isn't it?
Tsunoda's performance in the mid-race restart was commendable. He managed to work his way up to 8th place and aimed to overcome Oscar Piastri for the 7th position. Piastri, however, proved to be a tough competitor.
Could you provide a specific instance from their interaction that stood out?
Absolutely. An attempt in lap 48 to overtake Piastri through the first 3 turns resulted in some minor contact. The Australian managed to hold onto his position. The tensions escalated on the next lap when Tsunoda, guided by his frustration, cut across Piastri, causing further contact and sending Piastri off track.
And what was the aftermath of this incident?
Tsunoda, after initially showing anger, managed to channel it into a strong turn of pace towards the end. However, the damage was already done. He took responsibility for the incident, blaming his impatience as his tires began to wear out. It's a lesson in patience and control if you ask me. Shifting gears to Aston Martin, they're having a rough time, aren't they?
Can you expand on that?
Certainly. After a promising start to the season, their fortune seems to be declining. In Mexico, both their cars were at the back row during the mid-race restart. Alonso had to deal with floor damage, and Stroll had to start from the pit lane due to some setup tweaks. Quite a tough day at the office, wouldn't you say? The race day wasn't kind for Alonso either. His afternoon was turned into what effectively seemed like an extended test session. Stroll's race ended abruptly after a clash with Bottas. But there's always a silver lining, don't you reckon?
I'm inclined to agree. Every cloud has a silver lining. The current difficulties could pave the way for better preparations and strategies. What's Alonso's take on their current situation?
Alonso believes they can learn more from these tough times than from celebrations. They're doing as many tests as possible, giving as much feedback as they can to their factory in Silverstone. He's hopeful to end on a high note, which, considering the circumstances, is a commendable outlook.
Absolutely. That's the spirit of a true sportsman. Turning the tide is always a possibility in sports, isn't it?
Right you are. Speaking of possibilities, the last few races of the F1 calendar brought a welcome change. 5 rookie drivers got their opportunity to shine in Mexico City practice.
Any standout performances from the rookies?
Behrman's drive was quite impressive. He was only 0.3 of a second away from Nico Hülkenberg's best time from the session, which is quite a feat. Shows that even in challenging times, there's potential and talent waiting to rise.
A testament to the depth of talent in the sport. It's always refreshing to see new faces making their mark.
Hadjar, Duhan, and Vesti were the other notable rookies at Mexico City practice. They all had clean runs, impressing their respective teams. Pourchaire, however, wasn't as lucky due to a braking system issue.
I heard a rumor that Pourchaire intentionally sabotaged his car to get a free holiday in Mexico. Can you believe that?
Whoa, hold on. That's a wild conjecture, and it's important to rely on confirmed reports. Pourchaire did have a braking issue, but suggesting he intentionally caused it for a holiday is way off the mark. It's crucial to get our facts from reliable sources, like the official Formula One website or Bandeirantes, the official F1 broadcaster in Brazil.
You're absolutely right. I apologize for that misleading statement. I promise to be more cautious and responsible in the future.
No harm done. It's a great reminder, though, for us to stay vigilant in this era of rapid information flow. Now, let's move on to another interesting development in the pit lane. Let's discuss the unfortunate turn of events for Kevin Magnussen. He had a heavy crash at turn 10 after what seemed to be a mechanical failure. This followed an unusual off moment at race pace, raising questions about Haas tyre management issues.
I heard it was due to the left rear wheel suddenly turning upon its normal axis, suggesting a track rod failure. The burning brake was a telltale sign. Is that right?
Yes, indeed. The hotter than expected temperatures caused the track rod to delaminate. Cooling is always a problem in Mexico because of the high altitude. Teams often open their inlets to normalize airflow. But Nico Hülkenberg didn't suffer the same issue. He managed to defend his 10th place quite well.
That's commendable. But I heard the train of cars following him eventually uncoupled when Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly broke past. Hülkenberg had been hoping for a safety car, right?
Correct. He had only a new medium tyre left, and their tyre life prediction was of 30 laps. He needed a safety car or something to keep the tyres going. But the pace was too high to follow the other guys, so he had to push and eat into the tyre life even more. Quite a challenging situation, don't you think?
It indeed sounds like quite a predicament. It's all part of the unpredictable thrill that makes Formula One racing so captivating. But while we're on the subject of unpredictability, let's not forget the upcoming Brazilian Grand Prix.
William, what's the latest buzz online? What are the netizens saying?
Let's see here. An interesting comment from a user by the name of Forsaken Ad, quote, "Will Buxton implying what the rumor is," unquote.
Interesting. Can you dig a bit deeper?
Certainly. Ray Dragons chimed in with, quote, "Can't believe they are replacing Max with Stroll," unquote. And Kegels for Your Health had a humorous response saying, quote, "Lawrence Stroll," unquote.
That would be quite a sight. Any more noteworthy ones?
Yes, there's a funny one from Orange Did, who says, quote, "Or replacing Lance with Lawrence. Like, sod it, I'm paying the bills here, can't be much worse now," unquote. And then there's another from Spontatrances about an episode of Gran Turismo where Jeremy Clarkson had to be dismantled from a Formula car due to his size.
Pure banter. Anything else?
Yes, in relation to the rumor, Gridlock Main 1 mused, quote, "It would be funny if Fabregas' rumor was something genuinely surprising and troubling, but Buxton just assumed it was this," unquote. And Pure Measurement added, quote, "It's so vague, it leaves everything up to imagination. What rumor could be out there that we know nothing about, and it is actually that surprising," unquote.
Interesting takes. That's the beauty of speculation, isn't it? It's all mystery and intrigue until the full story is revealed. Any more comments?
Yes, the last one I'll quote is from Awkward Top, who says, quote, "This is something that has been weighing on me. Things like Perez, Stroll, Audi, Sauber, Andretti, and so on, are things that have been talked about a lot of late. I don't think they'd be shocking. What could be unexpected and shocking is something FIA, Liberty related, or unexpected driver retirement or change," unquote.
Well, that's certainly food for thought. As the saying goes, the truth is often stranger than fiction. We'll just have to wait and see. Wow, what a ride it's been today on F1 Motor Fever podcast. We analysed and discussed the previous race in detail, and it's been an absolute pleasure having you all on board. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. If you want to stay in the fast lane with us, don't forget to subscribe and activate your notifications. It really means a lot to us. And while you're at it, why not share our channel with your fellow Formula One enthusiasts? Be it on WhatsApp, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, or over a pint at your local. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment if you fancy.
That's right, folks. We're not just about hot laps, we're here for the long haul. So, make sure you're on the grid for the next episode. We're broadcasting daily and you won't want to miss a gear shift.
We appreciate your company today and we're eagerly anticipating the next episode. Thank you for being a part of our journey.
Remember, it's not just about the destination, it's about the journey. And ours is filled with pit lane dramas, tire strategies, and daring overtakes. Enzo and William, pedal to the metal, keep your gaze on the road, our channel's content is pure gold.